Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming in after your lunch. I'm Sean, your MC for this session here. And in light with Skills Future's main theme about future work, one of the few main things we are focusing on is about emerging skills. And today here we've got Isaac from Ngee Ann Polytechnic, who is a veteran and with years of experience in film and production. He's going to share with us more about knowing how to take great photos and putting it as part of your content creation online as well. So these are some of the skill sets that you can expose ourselves into and get insights from. Without further ado, welcome Isaac.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, thank you, Sean. Okay, like Sean said, I'm Isaac Ong. I'm from the School of Film and Media Studies in Ngee Ann. So I'm a full-time educator, but I'm also a practitioner in many areas of the media industry. So I work, if you meet anyone from the media industry, you mention my name, they'll probably say that I'm a camera and lighting person. But the fun part is I teach everything from camera and lighting, audio, video, basically everything, including technical rigging. But today we'll talk a little bit about taking good photos. So we do have a 2-day course on this full-time, but this is just a little bit of a taster. If you find that this is something that you want to delve a little bit more into, you can always sign up on our course. We run every month. So I think we are already fully subscribed all the way until August. The next available one will be September. Okay, so oh, under yours. Just a sec. Under mine. Okay. Right. So that's me, but I'm not doing anything camera related. I'm actually setting up a wireless mic. So this was taken by a friend of mine. So if you look at my face, very serious because I'm trying to get things to work. Okay. So if you look at this, this is a typical black and white. So I'm a black and white person in terms of taking photos. So most of my photos I like black and white because I'm a moody person. I know it's a little bit of a disjoint. Like I'm like very happy all the time. Okay. So why mobile photography? So how many of you are camera enthusiasts? You have your own DSLR? Nobody, you are great. No expectations. Okay, so the fun part is, this is a typical camera bag. So I always bring one of my students who is a camera enthusiast. He actually charges people to take wedding photos and stuff. So most people are very into gear. They think that bigger gear means better photos, all right? So most people think that if you have bigger lens, it will be better. Like today, Saturday, right? You just go along somewhere in the city area where NDP is happening now. You'll see many camera enthusiasts bringing cameras and all that. Then you'll see some carrying big bazooka lenses and trying to take photos. So those are what we call the telephoto lens. So a lot of times telephoto lens in Singapore are used primarily by nature photography and sports and news. Why nature photography needs telephoto lens? Because very simple. If you tell, hey, man, don't move, you'll look ugly. You will not move. But they want to take a picture of the bird. 你不要动. Do you think the bird will stay? No. That's why if you see a lot of times during the walk, right, you see a lot of photographers along a certain path, right? Means that someone has spotted a rare bird in Singapore. Then you see everyone go to Gimo, the park connector. Okay? So a little bit of mobile versus digital photography. Digital will be using full-size cameras, things like DSLR, mirrorless, so on and so forth. Mobile is anything.
I think turn the other way around, they're much more crisp and better.
Huh, what?
So then if you all turn around,
Really? I'm okay.
there's more crisp.
I'm okay. Majority wins. I'm a Democrat. Okay. So looking at all these photos, this is not shot by me. This is shot by a good friend of mine. So he's a person who. Do you think this is shot on mobile or do you think it's a digital photo? Meaning it's shot on a full-size camera. Yes, this is shot on a full-size camera. So this is actually shot in the Middle East. So he has interesting hobbies. He likes to travel around the Middle East area, documenting people. So this is actually shot on camera, so a full-size camera, versus things that you shot or I shoot with a mobile camera. So these are stuff that I shoot with my camera, which is just a mobile camera. Okay, so I don't have a full-size camera. People ask me, you teach photography, you don't have camera. I say, why do I need a camera nowadays when the camera is right in my hand? Okay, the only time that I take photos before I teach photography was actually never, very seldom. So when I was tasked to teach this, I had to take photos. Why? Because number one, I need to show that I can take photos. Because I was doubting myself. How many of you gentlemen, your wife always tell you don't take nice photos? I teach photography, my wife always say, can you don't take my photo? I say, okay, I will not take your photo. My wife will be the type who will tell me, take this angle. Okay. Don't make me look fat. Okay. Okay, so those are the few things. There are few typical rules that you can follow. So all these are all done on just my phone, which is an iPhone. So quick poll, how many of you are using iPhones? How many of you using Samsung? How many using Oppo, Huawei, any other things? Okay, so the typical question people ask me, which phone is better? No better or worse. Okay, different application. I won't say different application, but different way of thinking. iPhone is very good for point and shoot, meaning that they don't need you to think too much. So a lot of iPhone users tend to, when I go into portrait mode, when do I do this? When do I do that? Then they always ask me, how you take this? How you take this? I say, I point, I shoot. That's it. So the main thing is you point and you shoot. You must know what you're shooting. So my class, whenever I teach this, right, after 2 days, everyone will know what I'll ask. What is your intent? What is the subject matter that you're shooting at? Then it's going to be very difficult, right? Then how am I going to hold for people using Oppo? No, then that's not fair, right? Then I'll be like, no lah, but actually no difference. The basic principle is the same, okay? So all phones can take good photos to a certain extent, but you must know the limitations. Like iPhone users, how many of you try to take the moon with your iPhone and you have a lot of problems? Or you try to take very close-up shot and then you have a lot of problems with your iPhone. You realize your iPhone cannot focus. You'll just go, iPhone is not meant to take macro shots, especially if you're not using the Pro version. If you're using a Pro version, you go into portrait mode, there's still some semblance of control. You can still do something about it. Samsung, on the other hand, people always say, oh, Samsung can take very nice night sky. Some people say, oh, I want to take the moon. How come Samsung can take the moon? Samsung, the latest version, has this thing called AI generated. You take the moon, it's blurred, they automatically generate a moon for you that's not blurred. Okay? So that's how things work nowadays. Everything you have to, not saying that only in modern times, in the past, even in the 70s, 60s, 80s, all photos that you see in magazines are what we call retouch. It's just that the skill set is different. Last time it was retouch using what we call airbrushing. Nowadays it's retouch using software. So any new, if you're paying for a subscription, let's say the typical one, Lightroom or let's say Adobe, it has AI function built in. So I was playing around with it. So I like to do stupid things. I will have like a meadow in Scotland. Then I'm like, it looks a bit empty. Generate 2 sheep, 2 sheep appear, and it looks really good. Okay, so that's the beauty of having AI. Adobe also can, Lightroom also can. No, it's not. Adobe is Photoshop. Okay, so all these are paid licenses. Okay, pros and cons. Most importantly, number one is your portability. How easy is it to move? Actually, the connectivity nowadays, some of the big size camera also, you can do Bluetooth, you can do online already. Okay, so not so much. But of course, with full-size digital camera, it's actually better quality in terms of the CCD. Okay, so meaning that it can be a little bit better. Okay, maybe looking at it, this age group probably will have people, if I draw something on the wall, you all will understand. So I'm a person who likes, so if I draw something like this, anyone here don't know what this is? Then I know your age already. Most people I would assume will know what this is, correct? As my grandmother will call it pilima. Correct? Okay, so this is what I never said I was an artist. Okay, but if you look at this, this is a typical what we call a film stock. So that's how photography came about. So in the past, when we are taking photos, this is what we call one frame. So the frame is what is exposed to light to capture the image. So now we are doing it in a digital form. So the theory is the same. The bigger the frame last time, the clearer your picture because you can capture more information on it. So last time, typically, you just had to point and shoot. Like when I was growing up, the camera that we have is put the film stock inside, then 24 frames, 36 frames. Then if you go develop, you get 37, you are very happy because, hey, what extra? tan流料, correct? But nowadays, different. My world changed when things like, you can take and delete. Wow. So I was trained in this form. I cannot make mistakes. Because make mistakes means that the thing is developed. I cannot do anything about it. I have to live with the mistake. Nowadays, a lot of things can be changed. So easier to operate. So this one, is this considered a good or bad shot? What do you all think? Good shot, why? Okay, let's just change this. Instead of two monkeys, right, you have two human beings like that. Is it a good or bad shot? Not so good. Why? Framing is good. Okay, contrast is good, but what is not good? Don't know which is the subject and the eye. Remember when you're taking a live person, how you look is important. So a lot of times you'll have shots, right? Then the person's eyes like that, correct? At the wrong moment. Versus this. This one good. This one, eye good. As the tendency is, the sifat not good. Okay? So this is what we call foreground and background. Your subject is this monkey. So this is your background. So your background must not be distracting from your foreground. I'll cover a little bit more about this later. So far, okay? Any questions? So far, so good, huh? Okay. So two parts of photography. Number one, camera and lenses, which is your tech. Does tech play a part? Yes, it does, but only to a certain extent. So the other part is the art, aesthetics of photography. So I won't go too deep into things like art theory, which is my background. Okay. So art theory is very, very complex. So I've taken classes where we had what we call art discourse about what is the difference between a glance and a gaze. Very interesting. They show you a picture, a painting, and then they ask you, so is this a glance or a gaze? Why? So initially I was very, very, very interested in that class. Why? Because I was young, I was stupid, and then there was a topic in class that says nude and nudity. Then we go into art discourse, nude and nudity. Wow, naked people never look so boring in my life. Okay, so it was really, really not fun when you go to full-blown arts discourse. But in general, all this ISO, shutter speed, aperture, lenses, these are all the tech part of the house. For your mobile camera, do you need to cover? Do you need to really control? Some of it, yes, some of it, no. I'll cover a little bit more. So for me, I'm always big on this, the subject matter, visual elements, camera angle, composition, because this you can learn. This is dependent on what you have on hand. And mobile phones, generally, we don't bother too much about all this. Like I said, if you're using an iPhone, I shoot almost all the time, point and shoot. I never do any major like portrait mode, so on and so forth. Okay. So basic composition, how to create an effective photo. So number one, looking at all of you take photo like this, right? If you're taking a photo of me, I'll be very worried because the angle will make my face look very fat. I'll end up looking like a potato. Okay. Always remember, if you're taking, how many of you saw selfie and all that? Everyone just take like that, right? Never take a selfie like this. Unless you want your face to look really, really fat. Okay? How many of the generation, like when I first started taking photography as a kid, X means center. Everything must be in the center. So all your photos will end up looking like your class photo. Everyone just stands center. Nowadays on social, especially the ladies, how do you need to stand? You stand like this? You stand like this, with a bit of a curve on your leg and your arm go like this, correct? Why? Because that gives you a slimmer profile and your arms look better, and overall compositional element makes you look more appealing. Okay, that's the reason why. So most of the time, if you are taking a group shot especially, so typical question I get asked in my full class, people ask how to take group photos. Don't make everyone stand like you're taking a class photo and the one in the middle is the school teacher, is the class teacher. Everyone just stand like that. Stand a little bit of angle so that you give yourself a slimmer profile. Okay. So watch out for distracting background. Just now, I already said already. So case in point, this is a photo. Nothing wrong with it. Exposure correct. Subject, you'll know, everyone can tell what is the subject, right? The young lady with the kid is the subject, very clear. Okay, but versus this, which one is a stronger photo? This one, right? I would say. But can you all tell me why is it more appealing to you? It hides the distraction here. So number one, you don't have this lady. Okay, anything else? Face. You can see facial, the gaze, right? Can you see the eyes? You can actually see the eyes and direction. Not only that, there's one more thing that will lead your eye to it. Can you see that there's a leading line here? So this is important for one. I like to take a lot of architectural stuff, so I like leading lines. So lines should lead you to your main point of focus. It starts from here, it ends off here. And plus the fact that she's in the foreground. Okay. So when I say foreground, background, you all understand what foreground, background is? Foreground will be closer to you, background will be further away from you. There's many ways of doing it. There's no one way of doing it. So there's a variety of ways. You can ask the lady to move. You can wait for the correct moment. Remember, what's the whole purpose of taking photo, or what's the point of photography? What do you all think? I want to hear what do you think, sir, is the, yes, very important, capturing a moment. Will that moment ever reappear again? No, not for you. So the most important thing about photography is you're capturing a moment in time to do what? To show the feeling and emotion that you feel or you felt when you are there. So that when you show it to other people, hopefully they'll feel the same way. So that's what I mean by intent. So first thing first about photography, you must know what are you trying to show. If you do not know what you're trying to show, like I have many examples of this when I teach a full class. So when I look at the photo, I ask anyone, what's the focus? There'll be a multitude of answers. Then when you ask the person, don't know, I don't know what I'm shooting. But if you're clear in your intent, you'll be clear in your photo as well. Okay? Avoid merger. So what is merger? So straight away, I hear laughter. Can you see what's the problem with this? Precisely the point. And it doesn't help that he's bald. So this is what you call merger. Oh, no offense, I'm talking about the photo actually. All right. Okay, so it actually blends in, so it becomes a distraction. So it doesn't bring out the.
I don't mind, man. Oh, you see round on top and then round.
But the problem is you can hardly see the head. All right. So this is what I mean by distracting background. Okay, just now the monkey one also as well. The monkey's face is clear, but the back side is facing you. So it becomes a distraction. So nowadays for social, this kind of distraction sometimes is called a photo bomb. Okay, so that's also a form of distraction. Okay, fill the frame. So what is filling the frame? So this one I'll cover a little bit in terms of what you do. Okay, so a lot of times most amateur photographers, when they try to take something that is, they want to take a tighter shot, meaning closer, they will zoom in. But notice when you zoom in, what happens to your shot? I bet with you, a lot of times it will look blurry, shaky, correct? So let me do a quick example. So I always do this in class. Okay, I'm here, right? I'm going to stand here. I want all of you to take a shot of me, semi, whatever. You can do whatever you want. So it's just a mid shot of me. So let's see how you all take. And okay, I'll pose for you all as well, so I don't look fat. Okay? So if I'm standing here, is this a good shot or bad shot? Bad shot, why? Light is falling on me, right? So first thing first, you must know what is good, what is bad. If not, how are you going to tell the person you are trying to take what is. So if I move slightly out of the angle, I'm standing here. So the people at the back try to take me smaller shot versus the people in front, right? You will have an easier time versus them. Let's try. So you all try. Those from the back, right, you'll find that when you zoom in and you try to take me, right, it's a tougher shot. Okay, so when you take the photo, if you look at it, there's a difference between the ones who took at the back and the ones who took in front. If you compare, sorry, sir, can I just borrow a phone and let's have a comparison? If you look at this shot, everyone, if you can stand out, have a look at what he took and what you guys took. You do a comparison side by side and you see what happens. You'll see that that shot actually shows a lot more background versus this shot here, which will show a lot less background. Shot size-wise is about the same. So sometimes by zooming in closer doesn't equate to a better shot. The sizing, yes, you'll be closer, but the background and the correlation between foreground and background relational is different. So most of the time, when you say fill the frame, right, instead of zooming in, there are two things you can do to get a closer shot. Zoom in or go closer. Simple. So simple tip is, whenever you find that your shot is not working, right? So typically I'll see my students, hey, why cannot? Then I'll just take the camera and I just shift 2 steps to the left. How come so nice? As the Chinese would say, 换个角度看，世界更美好. In other words, change the angle of perception, the world is a better, beautiful place.
So tonight I go back and look at my wife.
Oh, that one, leave it to this one. No comments, no comments. As a married man, no comments. All right. Depends on the situation. There's no one size fits all. It depends on what is your background, what you're trying to capture. Yes. So zooming in, right, the tendency is that because you zoom in, especially if you are going in real tight, your phone will have what we call a motion blur due to a very minute shake on your hand, etc. So if you ask me generally, yes, if you walk in closer, it will be a more stable shot, but your background relationship will change. So how does this work? Case in point, I always use the example of a lot of participants ask me, when I go traveling, people will say my shot looks very ugly. Then the first question I ask them is, if you're going to the Grand Canyon and you're trying to show Grand Canyon and the person you're taking, right? Obviously, if you show the Grand Canyon, the person you're taking is going to be very small, right? So then how? Then you got to decide if you're going to show Grand Canyon or you're going to show the person. If you're going to show the person, then you don't go Grand Canyon and say that it's Grand Canyon. Why? Because if you take the person, you might as well go Xiao Guilin at Bukit Batok. It's also rocks at the background. Correct? So it all depends on what you're trying to do. Sometimes you can, instead of doing very frontal, you can take a shot of side profile against the background. That works as well. So like my portfolio, or rather for my CV, I use a shot of me at the Niagara Falls, or the Bridal Falls, and it's a side profile. So that can work as well. So always remember, you don't have to always be very formulative. You must always take on straight. So a lot of times people always take straight. When you take straight, then everything is straight. Then there's no depth and perception to it. Okay? So that in itself is a different challenge because your camera focus, where is your focal point? It's the same theory that I always ask people, like when I have two MCs, please do not give me a fair Chinese lady and a dark-skinned Indian man. Not because I'm racist, but because when I throw light on them, no matter how I balance the camera, if the same amount of light falls on the subject, what will happen? The dark-skinned person will be darker because it's absorbent. The bright-skinned person will be brighter because she's reflective. So no matter what you do, it's always going to be uneven. If you balance for the light-skinned person, what will happen? The dark-skinned person will look really dark. But if you balance for a dark-skinned person, the bright-skinned person will look as though she's an angel because she's going to be glowing. Same thing for you. If you have a sculpture that's bright versus you, there's no light falling on you, what will happen? If you focus, what will happen to the sculpture? Overexposed, meaning it looks like glowing ball. But if you focus on you and focus on sculpture, what will happen to you? Simple, right? Very, very simple. So the only way to do it is you have to play what we call cheat the angle. Don't take it frontal. Don't have the bright thing behind you. Coming from a side, come from a obtuse angle so that the light is falling on the side of your face. Then that will work. It's the same theory. If you shoot anyone against an open window, bright sunlight outside, dark inside, the first thing you show people is because it looks as though you're glowing from the back and you look really dark. It's what we call silhouette lighting. So that is the kind of thing that you see on documentaries of what I was a reformed gangster once. Then they'll correct? So that is very typical. Like in the past, you always see this shot against the window, the light outside is actually very blue. He's actually silhouette, can't see features and all that. And sometimes you have the digital mask of the voice. Okay, so that you can tell where it is. Correct? So I hope that helps a little bit. Any question? You can. I'm very old school, so I still don't do multiple shots unless I have no choice. I must get it within 3 shots. So my standard is what we call a shooting ratio. Shooting ratio, I normally will, every 3 shots I take or 4 shots I take, I must have 1 usable one. That is a typical shooting ratio last time that we use if you are doing film. Okay, so this one, same thing. This will exemplify the question that you're asking. This is a zoom in versus walk in. You're closer to the subject. Does that make sense? Can you see? I have no idea what they are. Okay, these are not taken by me, just examples. If you want to see photos that I take later, I'll show you. All right? So more or less a little bit of appreciation of this. Why walk in instead of zooming in? Okay, use the rule of thirds. So this is a compositional rule that all visual, be it photography, be it videography, we will learn. Okay, so this is called the rule of thirds. So what are the rule of thirds? Okay, this is the point I go. Rule of thirds basically denotes that if you have a frame, you're breaking it out into framing like this. Okay, for your camera, iPhone, Samsung, you can turn on what we call the grid line. You'll have this. So a lot of times in the past, here, looking at the age group, if I say the 80s, most people still kind of know lah, I hope. 80s, when you watch news, for instance, 5 News, Channel 8 News, where do you see the newscaster being positioned? Right smack in the sun. Duncan was. You all betray your age, not me. Okay, Duncan Watt will be right smack where? In the middle. All right? Nowadays, you watch Channel 5 News, Channel 8 News. Where is the... So nowadays, most of the time, they'll be here. And over here will be the LED screen. All right? So if you look at it, in terms of rules of third denotes that your eyes are normally drawn to the intersecting points. So if you look at it, right, generally, where are the intersecting points of the framing? Where they position the newscaster and where they position the screen. So rule of third states that it makes a more interesting and less symmetrical frame. So case like this, Dragonfly. iPhone users, if you want to capture this, not possible. Your camera will go into fits. You go, all right? Okay, iPhone not good with macro, okay? But if you have third-party apps on your iPhone, you can manage it. And if you want to do macro shots, you need an iPhone that has lens for it, or the third lens, the Pro version. Okay, so if you have Oppo, if you have, actually the China cameras are very good. Like one participant came back with a phone that I've never seen before and said, I bought this in China just for the lens. I said, yes, I can tell because the camera had Zeiss lens, which is very expensive. Okay, so you'll be surprised. Okay, so if you break out the rules of thirds, can you see where they position the Dragonfly? Right smack in one of the intersecting point, which is over here. Okay, so once again, our disclaimer, please do not always frame your photo just based on the intersecting point and turn on the grid lines. Because number one, you're taking a photo, you're not going for range Canadian bull target acquired, right? So it's a general rule. We can break rules for photography and you can still look quite interesting and good. These are just general rules that we try to follow in order to get line. Okay, so a shot like this is what we call a shallow depth of field shot. When we say shallow and deep depth of field means that in a photo, only one point is sharp, either the foreground or the background. Okay, generally where you see shallow depth of field photos. Anyone attended wedding recently? You go wedding, right, you see the wedding couple, the hands together, the ring very sharp, then everything else blur, or the two couples, everything in the background is blur. Yes, shallow depth of field. Okay, why? Because they want to make it look magical, romantic, whatever. The focal points on the things that are sharp. All right? But different photographers will be different. So I have a classmate who is a travel photographer. So he's a nature photographer. He'll go on expedition to shoot in the Arctic, wherever. So everything he shoots in his frame should be sharp, even when it's very low light. So a lot of people will ask, then I'm going to shoot northern lights. Okay, very bad. The first thing I said, you want to shoot northern lights, the northern lights must be there. Sometimes you go there, no northern lights. So you just have night. Okay? So if you want to shoot northern lights, there's also southern lights in New Zealand that you can go and shoot. But these are dependent on the condition that you get when you are there. Sometimes you don't get anything. Okay? Yeah, so far okay, rule of thirds. How to shoot? First thing first, there must be northern and southern lights when you reach there. After that, good luck to you already. Because number one, it depends on how bright it is, how dark it is. So a lot of times you can still get something if you shoot. So later I'll show you some of the shots that I have. Okay, but generally, first rule of photography, if you have no light, you cannot shoot. What will happen is that your camera will artificially try to boost up. Then you realize your image will look very, very grainy because a lot of noise is introduced into the image. Now, modern technology, we can put it through a post process. We can edit it to try to bring down the pixels and all that, but still, it won't be perfect. Okay, but nowadays a lot better. There's a lot more leeway and latitude. Okay, so case like this. When you are framing something like this, especially if you're doing a video, for instance, you frame someone like this and you leave a space like this, you're trying to set the eye to think that someone is coming because there's a space there. All right? So if you look at it compositional wise, rule of thirds is followed closely in this case. Okay, headroom. So this one is typical. Same thing, whenever you leave any room in the framing, you are assuming that something is going to appear or something is going to happen. So case in point, if someone is looking, let's say if I'm doing this, I'm looking to the right. Do you leave room to, when you're framing, you leave room like this, or do you leave room behind me? Here, why? Because that's what we call looking room. If you leave room behind me, right, if you're doing a film, right, it's going to be a horror because someone's going to come up behind me and stab me. Okay? So that's what it means, leading room or headroom. So typically, this is normal headroom. Too much headroom. What's the difference? Have difference? Okay. This is still not so bad. I can still accept this. But some people leave, wow. So another thing is you do not frame and cut off your framing at the body joints. So you don't cut someone off here. We call it the great floating head shot. You always leave a bit of shoulder. You do not cut off the person at the knee. Okay, if you notice, right, most of the time, you always like this or below the knees, never at the knees. So do not ever frame using your body joints as the cut-off point of your frame. Okay, it will make it look very awkward. It will look like a big floating head, so on and so forth. Okay. Oops. This one not enough headroom, not because the photographer got distracted. Okay, so this is a bad shot. Okay, do not take shots like this because number one, you're cutting off at the head and your focal point is wrong. Okay, most of the time, if you're taking a human subject, you want face. And not only that, you want the eyes to have what we call eye light. Eye light is the sparkle in your eyes when you are looking at the camera. This is why during COVID period, when everyone's working from home, everyone go and buy the nice little ring light in front so that you can zoom. Why? Because the light will make everything look smoother. If you have uneven face tone and all that, it will look smoother. So things like, I don't cover things like flash photography and all that, but if you're doing portrait photography, flash is mostly needed because we are trying to even out everything. Okay? Okay, converging lines. So this is what we mean by leading lines. So using leading lines, be it from a structure, be it from what we call frame within a frame, you're leading your eyes to look towards a certain direction, towards certain objects. Okay? So typical, something like this. Okay. Okay, I'm done. Wow. Are we good on time? All right, cool. So this is the link for courses that are conducted by my department. So my name's there. So all my contact details are there. So my official title is the Senior Manager and Business Development Manager for the School of Film and Media Studies, but I'm a practicing media practitioner. Okay. So questions now, Q&A. Anything that you want to ask that I can? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so let me put it to the floor. What do you all think? Remember, the moment can only, maybe you only have that one moment. Okay, so for me, my practice is I never shoot anything purely in black and white first. I'll always shoot it in color, then I'll do a post edit. It's safer that way. Because sometimes there are many different tones of black and white. You have your silver tones, you have your monogram, so on and so forth. So it depends on what kind of tone that you. So most of the time, my black and white, I will shoot in color first, and then I'll do a post. But my post is not import into Lightroom or Adobe Photoshop, so on and so forth. I just use my phone. Good enough. Even my aunts, my ICA say my IC photo is ugly, it doesn't work because of the background. Then she sent it to me, then I just use my phone and send back. What do you do? How come it works? I said, magic, pay me. No lah. But stuff like that, your phone is actually now made or have enough processing power to do very simple edits that will make most shots look okay. So you don't have to worry about that. Does that help? So the question or like the gentleman was saying that take multiple shots. So if you're in a rush and something is happening and you want to take multiple shots, all your phone has this function called burst mode. So different phones have different burst mode. iPhone, I think, is slide down or slide left. Samsung is slide down or slide. So if you go like that, you'll take multiple shots at the same time. The one function I don't use for iPhone is I don't shoot panorama. So panorama normally is it will just give you a direction and you. But the problem with that is normally your shot will look have an effect called what we call fish eye. Means that it looks like a bubble. There's a curvature to it. So it doesn't look very well. The last time I tried it was when I was on the Sydney Harbour Bridge because Sydney Harbour is too big. So I was trying it out. I got a shot, but it was not what I wanted. The dimensions were off to a certain extent. Does that help? Yes.
Would 0.5 help?
0.5, yes, 0.5 will help, but 0.5 will only work on one side of your camera. 0.5 doesn't do the inward facing camera. It was only the outward facing camera. Okay.
Can you see this photo? Like when I shooting something like bright using my phone, it will how do you avoid it?
You are shooting. Okay, you can show everyone that. So she's asking me why is there that line of blur, bright light moving? So that is due to the fact that you are shooting in dark and you're shooting close up. So what that line is your motion blur because you're shooting on the NUS logo. As you're moving, the shake causes this light to have a blur line. So that's actually the NUS logo because your slight handshake, it causes that blurring effect. You need to go to the gym more so that your hands are like. Okay, so no, you made me look fat. No lah, it's okay, but the angle doesn't look really good. It's not flattering. Background is okay, but normally we try not to show. See in and half online. So you can see that it's okay, but there's a lot of this. I would place it more, yeah, like this.
Hello.
This one's okay, but you can see my hands are blurring because of motion blur. Okay, so
Okay.
since you asked that question, right? Stability, especially when you're doing shots with low light, is important. When you don't have a stable background and you zoom in, especially at night, right? Your shots will not work. It will always be blurry, no matter what you do, because of your handshake. So the only other way to do it is you have a stable platform or surface. Then you brace it on the surface and you take. So meaning, let's say if you're taking NUS9, there's a railing. You press your camera on the railing and then you take. Point number 2, do not zoom in. I rather you take a wide shot and then you edit and crop. That will work better. Once you zoom in, tendency will be shake, definitely. Okay, that was another question.
Was Zhou Chuming your student last time?
Zhou Chuming is older than me.
Zhou Chongqing, sorry.
Zhou Chongqing was a full-time student in the Department of Humanities. So unfortunately, he is not my student. He was in another department, but he just graduated. Yeah, so he was doing Chinese media. Was it Chinese media? Chinese media studies, I think. Okay, so he just graduated not long ago. Yes, sir. Into the mic.
Actually, I do have a digital camera also, a Nikon one at home.
Okay.
But what I find it right, when I try to take kids using that camera and my phone,
You like
I
a phone
feel like
better.
my phone always comes better. That
Because-
comes bit darker. Then I always go to phone rather than why is that?
Various factors. Number one, what phone is it? What camera are you using? Pound for pound, which one has better lens optics? So if you are using a really old one with less pixel count. So number 2, case in point, if you are using a digital camera, you need to know how to control your parameters. So there are too many things I can ask you. But what's your ISO you're shooting? What's the aperture that you're opening up?
The camera also, I just put it in the auto mode.
Now you know why I don't use a digital camera? Whenever someone asks me, do I need to go into portrait mode? How come your picture so nice? Do you go portrait? No, auto shoot. Okay. Keep it simple. You don't have to keep fiddling around with it. Once you go into things like shutter speed, exposure, all this will affect what we call your depth of field. You have a faster shutter means you need more light. So the only time when I would do a fast shutter is when I'm capturing an object. So a lot of times people will want to do the effect shot, which is your water droplet hanging in the air. That one you need a very, very fast shutter. And if you're doing handheld with your mobile camera, no way. It will definitely shake. So you need something stable. Another typical thing is if I'm in a moving vehicle, I want to take a photo, it will always shake. So most of the time when can I just borrow your phone? Okay, just no need to do anything. I just need to demo only. So when you're in a moving vehicle, most of the time when you're taking a photo, you do this. All right? The vehicle moves, your hand also moves. So what happens when your hand moves? Your photo also moves. And then you have, let's say if it's in the dark, you have an effect like him, the light will go woo. So instead of doing that, you're in a car, you want to take a photo, right? This is the window. Brace the camera against the window, shoot. You'll be a lot more stable. The only time I don't do that is if the speed of the vehicle that you're traveling in is fast enough. So I have a shot of Mount Fuji when I was taking the Shinkansen, which is the fast rail. It was going so fast that there will be no motion blur because it's so stable. Okay, but if you're on the SBS bus and you try to do this, right? Sure, shake, definitely shake. I guarantee you it will shake. But if you're telling me you're going to F1 and you're trying to take the F1 car, how come I cannot get anything? Most professional photographers can't even get anything because the shutter speed has to be really fast. This thing is going at 300 over kilometers per hour. Your hand, all you see is like, all you see is a one line. That's it. Because it's at night. the car is moving fast. Your shutter speed cannot be that fast. Okay, that's the reason why. Okay, so I break it down into bite-sized pieces for you all to grasp a little bit. But any question you want to ask, please feel free. Yes, sir.
They take a light box or what? There's this ray, you know, that
Ray.
you know what I mean? It's the TV monitor or something. I think
That will. That's a frequency rate. Depends on your. You got to change your shutter speed oscillation rate to match the rate of. So it's normally 60 hertz, 50 hertz. So normally you'll see a scan line that goes down and up. So that's because of your power cycles oscillation rate down and up, 50 hertz, 60 hertz. Yes, you have to adjust your shutter in order to match the oscillation rate. But most of the time, unnecessary lah. Why would you need to take a monitor?
No. What I mean is there is a solution.
There is always a solution. There's always a solution. Take a video, like what he said, take a video, then you do a single frame capture. That would be more practical and easier for you guys instead of trying to change shutter speed. Then, because when you change shutter speed, what will happen is, how come my image become brighter, darker? Because shutter speed will affect the amount of light entering your camera. So that will also play an effect of how bright and how dark your thing is. Faster shutter speed will require more light to enter the camera. Let's say if you're in this room, you do a fast shutter speed, everything will look very dark. But if you're in a bright, sunny outdoors, you have a slow shutter speed, you're going to die because everything will look overexposed. Okay, so that is the relationship. So shutter speed versus aperture. Aperture is how much light you're letting in. Shutter speed is how fast the thing is turning, although it's digital. Of course. I didn't spend. That's why you need to attend course. Yes.
Like I take a picture using portrait mode, and then after I take a video. And now with the iPhone, with the video, you can actually take a shot. Why is there a difference?
There's no difference.
No,
Because number one, iPhone is meant for consumer. They're trying. So the whole mantra of iPhone's design is to make things as simple as possible for the end user. That is why don't do anything too complex on it. Why do they have this function that you can capture stills from your video? Because they know that most end user, the consumers, will want to do something like that, and they want it as simple as possible. That's the purpose of it. But let's say I have participants come to me, I want to come to this class, and then after that, I want to sell my photos as stock photos. That will be a big of a stretch. Okay? Because that's to me, it's a little bit tough to a point where, like, I actually tried putting it on like Pixel Bucket and so on and so forth. Most of the photos I take are nice, but it has no commercial value whatsoever. Okay, so it depends on what is the purpose of you taking photos. Most of us are taking it for our own leisure purposes, our own hobby, our own interests, to take better photos. But if you are a commercial photographer or photographer, that's a totally different ballgame because you're being paid to take photos. So like most of the time, the commercial photographers, you will see them. Okay, I challenge you, when you go to a wedding, right, nowadays you see the photographer that's moving around. Most of the time, he will have two cameras. One sling here, one sling here. He's like a Western gunslinger. Correct? Why? Because one camera is on a tight lens. The other one is on a normal lens. So that he can get close up and he can get a wider shot without him having to change lens. That's the reason why. Because for wedding and stuff like that, you don't get a chance to say, oh, can we do it again? Hey, I miss your kiss, we can do it again. So who can't do shots again? Two types. One, wedding or event coverage. Two, news coverage. If you're going to cover news and you have the SCDF already setting up the thing, then the guy dropped, right? Can you go, oh, sorry, I missed, can you jump again? It's not going to happen, right? So those are things that you cannot miss. That's why you have to be reactive. But if you are a hobbyist, the only thing that will happen is you keep asking people to do it, right? Your wife will get irritated. Like my wife, hey, can you? Then after that, hey, where's my wife? She has walked off because you asked her too long. So you'll know that whether or not someone can take a photo when you see how they pose when they're taking a photo or how they angle. So I'm always very amused when I see people doing this.
Live example.
No, he's actually standing very straight.
I mean, he got two cameras.
Oh, you can ask him why he has two cameras. So if you look at the camera currently, he's having is probably, is it a 50 or 25? 12, 24. Then the other one is probably a 87. Okay. Not really. It just makes operational sense. You can ask him to change lens in the middle of a shoot. It's problematic. So you can see that most of the time, very good. Hey, he come in. If not, you all won't believe what I say. Correct, right? One on a more zoom lens so that he can take a close up. The other one is more. So the other one will always be more like how your eyes will see. What we call a neutral angle. Okay, so you can see. So the next question is asked is, why does he have a flash? So is it good to have a flash or not a flash? If he's going to take a photo of you all now, will his flash be in use? Oh shoot, he already give you the answer. It's no flash, right? Why? Because the flash will actually wash out everything. Instead of making you look natural, right, it will be. So another function on the camera that I seldom use is flash. The only time I use my flash is when I use it as a torchlight. That's the only time. I will seldom use flash because number one, it makes everything washed out. But if you're doing portrait photography, yes, you need flash. So when are portrait photography or portrait photographers most in demand? During financial reporting season, where all the CEOs and all the management need to do the big shot. Then they all stand like that. And you know, notice nowadays they don't stand like this anymore. They'll be like, or they will sit on the chair and cross their legs, so on and so forth. But it's quite fun to see because number one, these are all high power people. Like for me, I am a very bad person to photograph. When someone needs to take a photo of me, my friend who did my last photo that I used for my staff pass and my official things, it's like, wait, can you look down, look left, look like, yeah, okay, tell me what to do. I said, you are a visual person. What? Then I look at him. You know, that's the reason why I'm behind the scenes. You know. So thank you, sir. Hey, no worries. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next person that comes in. So do you think he's taking video or is he taking photo? He's actually taking a video. So he's using a device that is like a gimbal. So this is a gyroscopic mount that helps to stabilize the camera while he's moving. Oh, I love having camera coverage. Makes my live demo. So can you see that he's actually using two hands and he's actually looking at the monitor near his left hand. Good job. Okay, so the next question is, what kind of lens is he using? He's probably using a neutral angle lens, probably, is it a 50? But he's using a more variable so that he can go in tighter. So once you go anything above 50, it's starting to go tight. But for nature and football photographers, right, they can go up to 200.
If you're short-handed, you do carry all three.
You decide lah. Most of the time, most people will stick with something that is usable. They won't go in too tight. So generally, for them, they don't go anything above 100 because it limits what they can take. That's why he has a 24 is generally 24 is about your neutral angle. Anything less than that will be what we call fish eye. 18, 14, stuff like that. Your shots will look like it's curved. Sorry, you had a question just now, is it? I think he needs the. You need a.
Sorry, meaning in for night shot itself, usually the light is very low, so then you need flash. That's why you very easy to hit overexposed or underexposed. What will be a better way or tools?
There's no simple way. The only way, photography is very simple. When you don't have enough light, you have to bring in more lights. So let's say if you're going on just normal Chingay River Parade and you don't have enough light, there's nothing you can do. Unless you're going to bring a portable light around, it's not going to work. So the only thing you can do is you increase your aperture, meaning you set it into portrait mode, you open it up more. But the problem with that is your bright background will start to, but rather you capture something and then in your post you bring down the overexposure, you have something you can use. As opposed to if you use a flash, everything will be washed out, there's nothing you can do. Okay, so that's the practical me saying or speaking. Rather you capture something, if it's overexposed, you can bring it down. Versus you are underexposed, you cannot bring it up, or you flash, everything is washed out. There's nothing much you can do. There's no way you can edit it. Although nowadays with software, you can to a certain extent. But if you're going to so heavily I did something, right, then what's the purpose of taking the photo in the first place? I may as well take a stock footage and then I insert myself inside. It's easier that way. Okay? And sure. Hang on, is
As you just have said, if I want to like, if I want to show a picture on the plane, on the plane, and like show the scenery outside the window, like
that one
in
no
the
issue. You just close it as close to the window port as you can, and you shoot. Your shot will be stable because the plane is so fast. You won't have any motion blur. The only time you have motion blur is things like cars, buses, your Orient Express type of train that goes. The one, yes, you have a lot of motion blur. But if it's on a plane, once it goes on altitude already, it's fine. You can just hold the thing against the glass porthole.
Okay, so
it won't have motion blur because the plane is fast enough.
Oh.
Depends on what you're trying to do. If it's bumpy, but once it's climbing, you should be fine. When it's on this ascent, it should be fine. But it depends on what kind of flyer you are. Like, if you're the nervous flyer, I don't think when it's ascending, you'll be like wanting to take photos. I have people who with severe motion sickness, when the plane is taking off, they'll be like puking their lungs out. They won't be like, I want to take a photo. Maybe I will take a photo. Jeez. Okay, but it really depends. But plane, generally no issue. As long as the vehicle you're in is fast enough, you should be able to take fairly stable shots without any problem. Planes, generally no issue. I've taken from many different areas. Oh, case number 2, Singapore has very flat lighting because of the fact that we are on the equator. Compared to overseas, right? Don't compare. You'll be very upset. When I was a student, I was like, why do all the foreigners get such nice shots? Why am I such a failure? Then I went overseas to study. I'm like, oh, it's not me. It's the light. The quality of light is different. So Singapore, you can get very nice quality of light early in the morning. So when I do my photography class, I always start early. Anything after 11:30, 12, you get very flat light until about 5:36, when what we call magic hour, when the sun is setting. Then you get very nice colors again. So early morning, you get very nice color. Late in the evening, you get nice colors. So photographers always call it the golden hour or magic hour, where the sun is setting. You get very nice reds and warm colors. So morning Singapore, you'll get very nice crisp color as well. So can be done. It's just that the window to shoot to get nice light is limited. So most importantly, when you are shooting, look for light. Look for light and don't shoot. What I always tell my students, don't shoot against the light. Meaning if you have light coming from behind you, don't frame your subject against the light, because your subject will definitely be dark. Okay? So angle is important.
Yeah, in the interest of time, perhaps I can summarize whatever we've all been asking into 2 main questions. So the first one is, you've got highlighted really good skill sets in taking photographs. What is one thing that we should take away, one important aspect we should start learning from? Be it the 4-point thing, or, and also it feels as if like we are like playing a golf game, right? You got to mind the wind, the weather, the environment as we are taking photos. What is one thing that we can take away first for starters? And alluding to the second question about the courses that you're kind of offering, what are some of the things we can get insight into the courses to gain this skill set?
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let me think about this. How do I frame it? What's the cheat code for this? Basically, there's no cheat code. Okay? The more you practice, the better you are at it. Okay, but if you are asking me the important things of photography, I always sum it up in a few things. Number 1, know what you're shooting. What is your subject? What's your intent? What is your light? Where is your light coming from? So that you don't shoot against the light. The quality of light will dictate how good your photo turns out. There's only so much we can do in order to edit a photo to make it look good. Okay, so these 2 things are the most crucial. Framing and all this with more practice, like what the gentleman said, not nice, take again, no? Nowadays you can. My time you can't. Why? Because every shot I take costs money. And when you're shooting a film as a poor student, 1 roll of film for 100 feet is about $250. And that only gives me about 2.5 minutes. So I have done a short film in 1 roll of film when my director had no money. So my shooting ratio was almost 1:1. Every shot I take was in the film. Okay, That's the only way you can work. So it's crucial that at the point of time I don't make mistakes. But as hobbies, all I can say is try more and take more photos so that you know what is good, what is not good. If you really want to have a more deeper dive to this, at the School of Film and Media Studies, we do a short 2-day course on this for all participants. If it's SSG approved, so you get SkillsFuture funding. I think with SkillsFuture funding is only about $80, is it? Yeah, depends on profile lah. So if you're more senior, you get more funding. So we run it probably at least once a month. So I think I'm fully subscribed until August already. But the September class, I'll be definitely taking one class. So I am running 2 classes in September. Okay, does that help, Sean?
Yep, it does.
Any last questions? Any burning questions? You can. I have participants asking me. There are cases that you can use. One of them is this case called red pepper case. It's fairly waterproof. You can use it for basic snorkeling, no issue. But if you're talking about full-blown waterproof, because as you go, you can't bring it for diving. Because once you go pressure, the seams will not hold. We have specialized cases for that in order for you to shoot underwater photography. Give the model. First, choose a model that you like the look. That's number one. You must like the model and how they look. That's number one. Number two, make sure that you are guiding. You must how to guide the model. You're asking, right? So it depends on what you're trying to take. What are you trying to take? Is it for social media? Is it for portrait? Is it for graduation? So right now, right, it's graduation period, commencement period in NUS. You can go just down the street or here. Everybody will be taking photos. Then you just look at how they are taking photos. Then I can spot what is good, what is not. Okay, but how do you tell? You must be able to tell how to stand, how you're standing, what to do, how to sit, how to pose. That's what you're asking, right? There's no quick and simple answer to that because it really depends on what you're trying to capture. There's no one hard and fast rule that you follow. But most of the time, my basic rule to myself if I'm shooting human being, especially a female, is don't make them look fat. Simple. So in order to do that, remember, do not take a lower angle shot. This is why when you take selfie, everyone is like that. Because high angle makes you look slimmer. Okay? Always do this. Do not do this. And gentlemen, please, 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 don't do low angle shot anywhere near an escalator. Or try to take any shot near the MRT. Because I had one participant, the metal detector looks very nice at Chinatown MRT when I'm bringing them out. The next thing I know, I said, I think you need to go there. He was getting questioned by security. I'm like, so he was basically taking shot of the metal detector. I was like, why? Okay, so don't. Places that you don't take out your phone to shoot is railway depot or MRT depot, army camps, anywhere at the bottom of an escalator going up. Do not take out a phone. Okay, so even on the MRT train nowadays, I'm looking at my phone. My phone is like this, pointing at the floor, so that there's no miscommunication. Okay, so stuff like that, good rule of thumb. But if you're trying to shoot street photography, let's say if you're taking someone, it's good practice to ask for permission after you shoot or before you shoot. The problem with asking permission to before you shoot, what will happen? Lost the moment, and the guy will become very self-conscious, especially the aunties. They'll my la. Then after that, then it becomes very unnatural. But normally, I will make it a practice that if I shoot, you can recognize the person. I'll ask for permission after that. If they are not they don't want to give permission, just delete it. Simple. Easy for them. Then you can show them as well. So I mean, this is what we call Creative Commons. Yes, sir. Yes, definitely. So don't. So there's no reason for me to take that unless I'm taking architectural. But even if you're taking architectural, let's say you have person going up and down, right? Like the famous shot that a lot of wedding couples like to take is at the National Gallery, where they have 2 long escalators going up and down. They'll time it in such a way that the bride and the groom are on opposite side passing, and then the photographer will snap a shot. So that's one typical one that you should take. Okay. So stuff like that is very common. Singapore, most of the time, if you show me a photo, roughly I'll know where it's taken. It's quite static. Okay.
Most of you will have more questions for Isaac. You see his email address there. Just take note of it. You can actually contact him as well as his text message number. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Isaac. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much.